One. Welcome to Habs Unfiltered. I'm your new awesome host, Trege Wilson, and I'm here with Matt. I don't give a shit about copyright Smith.
Good
Uh,
evening.
and we're here with a Blainless Habs Unfiltered. If this show does get out, because Matt and I have no idea what we're doing, production wise, you'll probably have a show. So that'll be good. Matt, how you doing?
I'm good. I did not get nobody sued me for copyright infringement or anything. If anybody doesn't know the backstory, um, I was kind of in the house the other day and I saw something on TV and I thought, hey, that's kind of funny during the Copa America soccer game. And I took a little video on my TV and posted it, and it went fucking viral. It just blew up. Um, Before it was taken down, and my account was locked, which I've never seen happen before. At least not to me. It had like 1.2 million views and like
Jesus.
12,000 likes and like almost 2,000 comments on it and retweets. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, and I was getting everything from, and it was a very, like, it was literally a guy tripping over his own feet, falling down, like most soccer players do. And all I said was, guy comes down like he was murdered. And I said, when is
How
hockey
dare you?
something to do with like when is hockey season starting? And like it blew up. And I had so many people like Carla Koliakovo shared it, and I kind of laughed at that. And all these other people started sharing it and everything like that. And I was like, okay. Woke up this morning and it was like there were so many notifications on my Twitter. I was like, okay, okay, it's like it is what it is. Never really thought anything of it. Then I got off the phone with my parents, went to log in to message you actually, and it's like your account has been locked and you have to go through all this copyright stuff and read all their policies before you get your account back. So,
So let me get this straight.
back.
You took a video with your camera on your TV.
Yeah,
That's copyright infringement, but you could take a video that's already on Twitter that some other
yeah,
jackass put on
that's
and
right.
share it, and it's not copyright
That's
infringement.
right. Apparently, yeah. Yeah. But
Make it make
whatever. Yeah.
sense. Whatever.
It is what it is. It
Whatever.
was, it was good for a couple laughs. And my the people that follow me, I got a good laugh about it. And obviously it got shared a lot. So people got a
Good. Well,
laugh
there you
out of it, and
go.
that's all that matters, right? No harm,
Matt
no
is
foul.
bringing the world together.
Exactly.
With
Through
I don't
through
want I
through
don't watch
soccer.
kickball. I don't
Yeah,
watch
through
kickball,
soccer.
so I don't really care. But
The amount of
there's too
people the
there's
amount of
too
people
much
that
flopping
comment
and diving and
the amount
stupidity
of
going
people
on for
that
me.
commented on it that said like it's football. I'm like, God damn people.
Not in North America. It's not legally
Exactly.
football in North America. But
Yeah.
anyway, on to better and brighter things. Matt in his 15 minutes of Twitter fame.
Yeah. It was like
Uh,
2025.
all right, 20. Sorry, Matt. Sorry. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
One day you will
Uh,
be.
shit. Clowns are running the show. Uh, so we're gonna start today. We're gonna talk about the UFAs. Guys are available. We're gonna talk about the supposed trades that should have been made already, with 3 to 4 players that have been rumored to be being traded for almost seems like a year now. And we're going to talk about some KHL news and whatever else comes to our mind as we go on, because unlike Blaine, Matt and I just go by the seat of our pants and figure shit out as we go. So
Very
we'll
true.
start off. So there's been 4 players rumored all season to be traded at some point to the Montreal Canadiens. Now, we all know as Montreal Canadiens fan, any big name that comes up in a trade rumor, for some reason, somehow, Montreal fans think of a trade that he should be in Montreal, and it's usually a bunch of bums on Montreal for this really good player from another team, because that is how every team makes a trade. Um, so the big names we're talking about are Patrick Laine, Rutger McGroarty, uh, Zadina, and
Oh, is it not
Meshkash.
Zadina? Not Zadina.
Not Zadina, Zagras.
I hope it's not Zadina.
A Z guy
They fill in
who
that net
plays
during
in
practice.
who plays in California. Yeah, I saw it's close. A Z guy, man. Matt, I used to call you Mike for the longest time when we
That's
first
very
started this
true.
show.
That's very true.
Uh, and of course, Martin Eshkash of the Carolina Hurricanes. So Matt, I bring it to you. Did I say Patrick Laine? I don't remember if I
Yeah,
said
you
his
did. Yeah.
name. Yeah. So which one of those four players do you think has a legitimate chance of becoming a Montreal Canadian? Which one do you think would be a good fit for the Montreal Canadiens? And which one are we wasting our time on? Or are
I,
fans wasting their time on, I should say.
I think the best option right now, pause. It's I want to say Martin Ekash. I do, but I think that with everything that Carolina has lost in defensemen and some of their forwards, like they let Teravainen go, they lost Brett Pesce, they lost um another defenseman, Brady Shea,
Brady Shea, yeah.
and they've lost a couple other fellas as well. That I think that the money's going to be there because I think they legit thought that they were going to get Jake Gensel
Well,
until
that's another guy they pretty much lost too because he
right
was with the team and then he went to where
Tampa,
did get it? Tampa.
right?
Um,
So I think that Nikash, I think they're going to do what they can to keep him around. I think that he wants a bigger role, and I think the bigger role was now he might be able to secure that a little bit better. I think that they're going to hold on to him because he is a restricted free agent. Obviously, if he was a UFA, he'd be gone by now. So he would have
mm,
signed somewhere by now. So I'm thinking that he's maybe the one that I would say for fans to say, like, maybe forget about this guy at this point. Um, when I look at the next one to say maybe forget about would be Trevor Zegras. They haven't done anything yet. He did have an off season, but he was injured. He only played 30 games last year, but he still put up 15 points, and most of those points came towards the end of the when he came back. Um, Very good player. Don't get me wrong. He's got a friendship with Cole Caulfield that everyone knows about. He looks like he's pretty friendly around the other guys as well and spends time with them in the off season, everything. There's been a lot of speculation for the last year or so that he's coming to Montreal and it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But them going out and getting Cutter Gauthier from the Flyers, it could just mean that he's gonna move to center and Zegers is gonna move to a wing. He could be utilized as a winger. He's probably going to be better utilized as a winger because he's not very great. He's not very good at faceoffs. He's never been really good on faceoffs. He's last year was 38%. In his last full year, he was 41.4, and that's when he was primarily used as a center. So I don't think he's going to be the guy. And from what I've been hearing, they want a hell of a lot for Trevor Zegras, like a hell of a lot.
I agree on both of those. I think I look at Zegras too. Is Anaheim truly shopping Zegras, or are
Nobody's
they
nobody's
just
nobody's come out and they've
no one's
actually
come out?
said it.
Anaheim's never really, or nothing out of Anaheim. Everyone just assumes that Anaheim's trying to shop this guy.
Right.
I mean, he's only what, 23, 24 years old. He's not very old at all. Um,
He's
and
23. He's 23.
yeah,
Just turned
so
23 in March.
why he had one down season? Um,
And he just signed
well,
a contract. He just signed a contract as well.
yeah, yeah. So I don't personally. I think Zegras is a wet dream for any NHL team because I don't think Anaheim's really, unless someone throws that bucket full of gold at them for him. And any team's going to do that with any
Right.
player. If they, Edmonton is going to get, Matthews, Prime, Carey Price, and friggin', the top defense, Prime Bobby Orr, they're going to trade Connor McDavid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It really seems right now that any trade that's to do with Trevor Zegras, they're going to have to give up one of their young core pieces to acquire him.
It's going to be a Suzuki, a Caulfield, a Slavkovsky, a Demidov, someone. that they're really looking
Or it's
at
going to be a goalie or something like
or
that, or it's
goalie
gonna
or
be a large package that's gonna go around a guy like Reinbach or Hudson or something
yeah,
like that.
and it's going to
And
be plus. It's going to be plus plus plus. Not just going to be
more than
that guy.
likely,
It's going to be. And when it comes to Neshkis, now I'm not big on Neshkis. I think Neshkis is a 1 year wonder. Maybe if he gets more ice time, he only dropped by little under a minute in ice time from his 71-point season to his 53-point season last year. And to me, that's not a huge much drop to drop 18 points.
right?
Canes fans will argue he wasn't getting the power play time. Meh, you know what I mean? Like the way I look at it, if you're as good as a player as if you're a 70-point scorer, then you're gonna you force Carolina, you force their hand. You don't
Right.
just, you know, he played really well. Neshkets played really well at the World
He
Championships.
did. He did.
I'm not going to deny that, but he's not a playoff performer. He does not do well in the playoffs. Uh, I'm not high on Neshkosh. I've been loud about that on Twitter and social media. I don't think he's a 70-point guy. I think he's a 60. And I think once he wants a contract, he's going to want 70-point money,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's around six and
He's
a half.
gonna want length. He's gonna want term.
He's going to want 6.5 to 7 million at 7 years if he signs with another
Right.
team, right?
Right.
Um, to me, that's too much for a guy who's only really had one season. Because if that to me, I could be wrong. He could come out next year and get 75 points or 80
He very
points or
well could be.
whatever.
He very well could.
Because he has talent. I'm not going to deny that. But to me, I'd be like, now if he would have scored a 70-point and then his first 2 years, his rookie year, sure, 40 points, but his next year was only 40 some odd points. If he would have had maybe 50, 60 points that next year, then the 70, but then the 18-point, the big drop from 71 to 53 that really I look at it and go, okay, you only really dropped 40 some odd minutes, 40 some odd seconds of ice time. Like it was almost a minute. It was around a minute. You shouldn't have really dropped, still shouldn't have dropped 18 points if you were that talented. You
Right.
understand what I'm coming from? Like,
Right.
but
Especially with the stacked defense they
especially
had
with
and
a stacked
everything. And
team.
yeah.
I mean, unless you're playing with Kotkaniemi the entire time, I don't see you.
Right.
Kotkaniemi did, except for the first of the season, he did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't think Montreal should even look at him, especially for what I hear they want for him. I guess it's one of the defensemen,
Right.
a
Well,
first round pick
they're gonna want
plus.
something like that. Yeah. With the
Um,
guys that they lost, they're gonna want to recoup some of this. So I could say that he's out, and I'm gonna say more than likely Zegers is gonna be out as well.
yes, I agree. And to go to the other two players, Line A, McGordy, I still think there's a chance. I think McGordy's the. I'll go ahead. I know I asked you the question, but I
That's
think
okay.
McGordy's. I think McGordy's the best fit.
He's
He's the right
probably
age.
he's probably not only the best fit, he's probably going to be the player that's going to be the easiest to acquire because
Right.
the longer this is played out, being an NCAA player, they only own his rights for so long, and then he can literally pull whatever he wants. He can pull a Jimmy Vesey, Adam Fox, whoever you want to call
Yeah.
him, and say, "I want to go here," and force the hand.
Yeah.
Or he
Well,
can say, or he can just say, "I want out," and it's a bidding war to get him.
yeah, I think it's 4 years after their draft. They're allowed, or once they're done college or whatever it is. I'm not sure the actual rule, but once they're done, they can. Oh well, I didn't sign a contract with
Yeah,
you. I'm a free agent. I'm going to go
yeah.
with somebody else.
And this guy's a 14th overall pick, and he put up big
Mm.
numbers at the University of Michigan. If he
Yeah,
goes back to University of Michigan this year, it'll be good because he's going to be playing with Michael Hage,
yeah. And I
right?
have no now. The rumors I hear and the little kind of conversations I have with people on Twitter, I think Montreal's had. I think there could be a deal in place, but I think Winnipeg wants a center and a defenseman,
Yeah,
and I think they're looking at Beck and say uh, one of the better defensemen, like maybe Harris,
right.
plus a pick. And I think the sticking point is Beck. You know what
Well,
I mean? I think they're
yeah,
saying, I think Montreal, we don't want to trade Beck. Take Dvorak or take. You want a center? We have
it
Jake
would have to
Evans.
be a Dvorak plus or something,
We
right?
have a
Yeah,
Christian Dvorak. They're probably
with
not going
one
to
year
want
left
Dvorak.
on his deal. With
Right,
one year left on
right.
his deal.
And then
But
and
what I'm looking at is it's the longer that this plays out, the longer it plays out for the future team that's going to actually get them. Because if they're throwing out these names and saying like we want this player or we want this pick or we want this package, and teams aren't biting on it, they're probably going to have to lower their asking price.
well, that's just the thing. Like all these guys have been rumored to be being traded months
Yep.
ago,
Yep.
and nothing. Absolutely,
Well,
especially with McGroarty, nothing. Crickets.
look at the draft. The draft was supposed to be Montreal's big, we're making a deal. This is happening.
Yeah,
All like, and it wasn't just us talking about it. It wasn't just, podcasters talking about it. It was what's the Montreal Canadiens going to do? What are the Montreal Canadiens going to do? And it was TSN, it was Sportsnet, it was all these different things saying that the Canadiens were going to make a deal. And when the trade finally came out, when they moved to 21, yeah, they moved to
yeah.
21 with the Kings. Did they end up with a good player? Absolutely. Did they end up with an absolute stud at number five? Absolutely. But I think that most people, and even now going into, and which we'll get into another topic, here in a few minutes, the only player that they've signed so far is Barry Boulet, and he's going to be a guy that's going to be the reinforcement for Laval because of the amount of players that they lost.
Yeah, I actually said on Twitter for day two of the draft, this will be the day Montreal makes their annual trade at the draft. But was everyone saying all this because Ken Hughes at every draft he's been at made a big trade, or was there a trade cooking? So you
Right.
really got to look at that too. Like
Yeah.
even TSN and all them guys, they're on the air for so all these many hours. They got to
Right.
fill the void. So they're like, hey, Montreal, every year so far, Ken Hughes made a big trade to improve the team.
Yeah.
Kirby Doc, Alex
It,
Newhook.
and the writing was kind of on the wall, and you did have the multiple first round picks, which
Right.
everyone said they weren't going to use that late pick.
I was the same.
I was the same
Technically, I was
way.
right. I said they're going to trade the 26th pick, and they did.
Well, I did too, right? So technically we were right, but not the way that we were
Hockey
thinking.
Insider
Right.
was
Right.
correct. But they traded for the 21. Then I thought the 21 was going to be traded again.
Yeah,
And I thought maybe they're going to move even further up the draft to try to get in the top 15
I did too.
because I thought, going back, we're going off topic here. Do you think Hag was the pick all along? They said it was, or do you think the goal was Eiserman?
They did bring Iserman out to dinner,
Yeah,
but
they
I
brought a
do,
lot of
but
guys out.
that also could have been a ploy to take away from the player that they wanted.
Yeah,
But
because
the
they
thing is,
did.
but the thing is, we're never going to know, and you're not going to pick somebody, and then when they ask you the question, be like, "Well, Iserman was really our guy."
Yeah, no, we really didn't want him, but he was our. No, they're never going to say. That's why I'm asking you. What do you personally like? I personally think they were after Eiserman.
I think he was on their list, and I think that if he would have been available, he would have likely been the pick.
Yeah,
However, when you look at Michael Hayes, you look at the story, you look that he's French speaking.
I'm
He
not against the
absolutely
pick
tore it, right.
whatsoever.
He absolutely
Yeah,
tore it up, and like just the story in general.
yeah.
I'm all in for this kid, and
Oh,
I hope he
listen,
does well.
I think he's going to be a good 2, 3 C in the NHL.
Yeah,
I'd same as Owen Beck. Right now, I have him on the same tier as Owen Beck. Hot potential 2C, low
yeah,
potential 3C.
right,
Not much of a difference between the two of them. Different styles of play,
right.
but I like both of them. I think Montreal's future is looking really, really, really good.
Agree.
Um,
So going
but
back to go back to your
going
original
back to what
question.
original question, uh, and I think McGroarty, we go back to that at his age where he's at, he fits perfectly into Montreal.
He
What
does. He's
Montreal is
20
doing right
20
now.
years old. He's 6'1", I believe, about 200
Yeah,
plus. I think he does fit that mold. He wouldn't have to jump into the team right away, even though he's close to being NHL
yeah,
ready. But if
yeah.
he had to do one more year in University of Michigan or even go to the AHL, I'd be okay with it. But again, I think that he's probably going to be the one that was going to be easier to acquire. Going to our last one in Patrick Laine, every team wants a guy that can put the puck in the net, and this is a guy that can do it. Um, Columbus has not been a good home for Patrick Laine. It seems like Patrick Laine has been in the league forever. It really does. We were at the draft when he was picked in Buffalo. Um, he's only 25 years old, and the guy is a 40 goal scorer. He's when healthy, he's at least a 30-35 guy. Since he's been in Columbus, he's played 45 games, 56 games, 55 games, and 18 games with 10, 26, 22, and 6 goals. We also know that last year he was in the player assistance program. Apparently, he's doing well. I've seen pictures of him on social media. He looks like he's doing well. And Don Waddell, the new general manager of the Blue Jackets, has already come out and he said, we're trying to make something work. Montreal does have the cap space. If they want to eat that 8.7 million for the next 2 years, I don't think that would be the deal. And if it is, you bring this guy in on those 2 years. You hope for the best that he's going to be that reclamation project, and he's going to be the guy that you can put on a second line with Kirby Doc and Joshua Waugh or Alex Newhook. Probably no, I would say Alex Newhook. Put the three of them together. Have two guys that can distribute the puck. Two guys that are 6'3", 6'4". Was what Doc's what 6'4"?
Yeah, something like that.
He's
Yeah.
6'4". Patrick Laine is 6'5", probably 210, 215. Obviously not known for his physicality, but man, the guy could put the puck in the net, and he'd be such a weapon on the power play. If the deal was right, and if they're doing their homework to say, okay, is this guy clean? Is his head there? Can he play in a Montreal market? Yes, he's played in the Canadian market with the Winnipeg Jets, but whole other level playing in Montreal. If he can take that and he has the support of the team around him, which I believe that the Canadiens have really done a really good job looking at the mental health and looking at how they're training the players and how they're kind of bringing them together as a team. I would welcome Patrick Laine to Montreal Canadiens.
You know what? I have no issue with Patrick Laine coming to the Montreal Canadiens for the right package. I wouldn't give up too much for him. I would more like a hockey trade, like say we'll give you Josh Anderson. You know what I mean? That is 5.5. We'll take all of Laine's contract. The only issue is you might have to give a little more
Yeah.
with Josh
I
Anderson to make
I
the
see
trade.
I see it more of a we want to, but not necessarily that they want to offload this guy. It's not going to be like a future considerations or it already would have been done.
Yeah. No,
But
it's going to be
but I
a
but I
they
don't
want
but I
something
don't
in
think
return.
I don't think it's going to be a massive return.
Well, Laine is almost a point per game player uh, in his last 3 years. The problem is he hasn't played a full season
Right.
in most of his. I mean, I think he's
And those years that so let's just say his last 3 years, 56
yeah,
and 56, 52 and 55, and then last year when it was his obviously it was a bad year for him.
yeah,
But again, player assistance program, etc.
yeah,
He put up 9 and 18.
yeah. So I mean, like I
Right.
say, he's close to. Well, I mean, I guess
Except
point
for last
0.5,
year. Except for
except for
last year.
last year, he's almost a point per game player when healthy.
Right.
Uh, you know, 2 years at eight some odd million. He's off the books when Montreal's making that 25-26, I think, is the season Montreal's going to start putting things together to make that push. He's off the books then when that season's over. Carey Price is off the books. I think that after the 25 twenty
He
six
is. Yep.
season,
Yep.
I think he'll be off earlier, but that's another. I think he's going to be traded with either this year or next. His contract anyway. Um, so it doesn't hurt Montreal. It doesn't hurt to have him there, and
It
he's that
doesn't.
veteran. He's that veteran presence that can sit there and work with Cole Caulfield on a shot. He can. I don't know if Lonnie's that type of person. I don't know what
Right.
he's like because he's very. To me, he seems very quiet and reserved. But
Well, this
so is
is the
Andre
thing.
Mark.
We haven't
So is
seen a
Andre
lot from
Markov.
him. We haven't seen a lot from him because he played in a quiet market. He played with the Columbus Blue Jackets. If he was playing for a bigger market and this
No.
was going on, we probably would have heard a hell of a lot more about it. He just kind of quietly went into player assistance.
Yeah. Well, his father died, and I think he had issues with that. And
Well, and that's
there was a lot that
understandable,
went on.
right? And
Yeah.
that's understandable.
Uh,
But again, from what I've seen social media, he looks like he's going down the right path. And if he was made available, if they wanted to make a hockey trade, they wanted to put a player back, I would unload like a surplus defenseman. I'd give him a Justin Barron, something like
Oh,
that,
I'd give him a Jordan Harris. Like I'm not
right?
Struble, Harris, Barron. They're all expendable.
Right,
Uh, Especially now that we know they kind of it's going to take a lot to get rid of Jack Eye. Jack Eye's not going to be part of a line A deal. Maybe a
right.
McCourty, maybe, but they really like Jack Eye. They want to keep him there.
Right.
So Harris,
But
Struble, and Barron are the expendables.
a guy when healthy, I'd even say you bring him in this year, he's scoring at least 25 if
Oh,
he stays
well,
if he stays healthy.
his year he had the 56 and 56. He had what, 22 goals?
26.
26. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I mean,
But again, for a guy that hasn't played for quite a while, I would at least bring him in. I'd bring him in if the deal is right. I think he's good for 25 goals, and he'd be a weapon on the power play. He really would.
oh, for sure. Especially now that you got Lane Hudson there, you got
Yeah.
Matheson's going to be there. You got
Yeah.
if Caulfield, I think he's from the way his season ended and the way he was scoring goals at the I think his shoulder things because I think his biggest issue was his shoulder at the first of the season.
Right.
Uh, we know Suzuki's capable of scoring 30. We know Slavkovsky can score 20. I'm pretty goddamn sure Caulfield can score 30 to 40 goals in a
Yeah.
season and a
Yeah.
healthy full season. Uh, Unknown about Kirby Doc. Newhook was on pace for 20 goals if he played a full season.
Yeah. For me,
Like Montreal has goal scorers.
yeah, and for me, it would be
Um,
interesting to see what a guy like St. Louis could do with them, and their
yeah,
their skills coach, the Adam Nicholas,
Adam Nichols. Yeah.
what he could do as well.
I mean, in the end, we'll wrap this segment up, but in the
Yeah,
end, I think most likely McCourty
I think it's gonna be McGordy or Line, the
and
one of the two.
Liney. I think there's a plan A and plan B. And I think Liney is probably plan B. But I think they're two easiest to get as well,
Yeah,
without blowing up something. And but I don't think Ken Hughes is going to do that anyway. And I think that's what the holdup is on any trade Ken Hughes is doing.
right.
Is he's like, I no, you're asking for players I'm not willing to give up right now. So that's on that. So we're going to move from the big trade guys that never seem to be getting traded to the UFA. So we thought Montreal was going to pick up at least some UFA besides AABB or whatever the
Yeah,
heck his name is.
Barry
And
Boulay.
yeah, so and we got to hurry this up because we only got 10 minutes left. But uh, who do you think's out there right now that Montreal could use on the free agency?
If they don't make
Pavlevsky's off.
if they
Pavlevsky's
don't
off the board, so we're not
if they
getting
don't
him.
make
So
one of these trades with one of the
yeah.
guys that we named, or they don't make a hockey trade to bring in somebody in the top six, I'm gonna say they're gonna do like a 1 year, 1 mil, 1.5 mil, bring in a guy like Daniel Sprong, or they're gonna possibly look at a guy like Alex Nylander. And I'm gonna throw this out here, and if people want to comment on this, feel free. There's two guys that are out there that just love to bash and bang. It's more of a hockey move than anything, but Matt Martin and Cal Clutterbuck are both still available. Um, Cal Clutterbuck played 82 games last year. He put up 20 points or 19 points, playing a fourth line role, 273 hits. The guy absolutely just crushes bodies out there. He's a veteran presence. He's been there, 36 years old, though. He'll be 37 in November. Matt Martin, 6'3", 220 pounds, 35 years old as well. Um, Last year, he put up 8 points in 57 games. The year prior, it was 81 games. He put up 19 points, but he's a guy that's 200 plus hits. Those two guys with Casey Cizikas, one of the most dominant fourth lines that were out there. I can just imagine the two of them, or at least even bringing in one of them. I would say more likely Clutterbuck. He's got a little bit more foot speed. Um, Playing with a guy like Pizzetta and Evans, I think it would just be a fun line to watch. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would say I'd put my bet on Daniel Sprong. Just the fact that he can come out and he can help the power play.
I'm going to go with Daniel Sprong. I agree with you. I think he's, I mean, he had 48 points last year, 43
43,
points in
18 to
76
25.
games.
Yeah.
But another guy I'm going to bring up is Mac Pacioretty. I can see them
Yeah.
bringing him on a 1-2 year deal. At what did he make last year? Two. He only made 2 million last year with the Washington Capitals. So around the same thing. A good show me contract like Monahan did,
I'd do like a
and
one
away you
one
go.
year deal,
Yeah.
1.5. Bring him in. He knows the city.
So that's our UFAs. I don't think Montreal is going to get into the big UFA thing this year. I don't think that's their bag. Next year is going to be the year I think where they're going to try to get some big names off the UFA circuit. But the other thing we're going to bring up this year on this episode, is big news out of the KHL with their cutting ties with their agreement with the IIHF, who has a transfer agreement with Montreal Canadiens, which restricts or not restricts the way players move around. Right now, the KHL, if you have a signed contract in the KHL, you cannot go to the NHL while you have a contract in the KHL. However, that could change now that the KHL is its own separate entity. Now, nothing's been confirmed. The only thing confirmed is that the KHL is moving away from the IIHF. They're going to run just like as an independent, just like the NHL. And the speculation is that you're going to be able to do like a transfer payoff where a team could possibly give money to a Russian team to get a player out of a contract. Um, so that could be good news for anyone who thinks Demidov could come over a year early.
Yeah.
So that's the big news there. Now, I believe they're doing this because of the issue they have with the goaltender of Philadelphia. He got in a bunch of crap because he got out of his contract early and the KHL and went and played for Philadelphia before he was supposed to, and now he can't play in international, which I don't think he would have anyway. But now the Matty Mitchkov thing's a totally different thing because his was a mutual agreement between him
Yeah.
and the team,
Yeah.
and they just terminated the contract together. I believe the goaltender one was a Philly signed him to a contract, but he already had a contract and was playing in Russia, and then he signed the contract while he was playing, and then he left the Russian team to come over here to play on that contract.
Yeah.
So
And then they just sanctioned him and they banned him from international
yeah,
play and all this
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
Which
So
again, like if he knew what he was doing. He wanted to come to North America, he knew what he was doing.
yeah,
On the Ivan Demidov front, it could mean that he could come over. I don't believe he was taken in the CHL draft. I don't think anybody picked him up. So
don't
that
know.
means that he could come over, jump in the AHL, jump into the NHL. Um, this is still obviously a developing story, so we're not going to speculate too much. But I think that if it happens that he doesn't join the KHL team, and kind of like last year when he was hurt, and they put him back into the junior league, and he obviously lit up the junior league. He was the MVP. He put up two
Yeah,
points a game, etc. So obviously he could have been playing in the KHL, but they decided not to. Um, the KHL works really weird. Like you have to have two 20-year-old players on your team, or like 20 or under players on your team, which he would obviously fit into one of those slots. However, they also don't treat their players their greatest when they know that a player is going to leave the league and go to North America, which we know that he's going to do. Um, so with that being said, I could see if this turns out that they can grab this player and bring him to North America, I think they'll only do it if they play that, if they put him back in the junior league. If he's playing in the KHL, if he's
yeah.
playing in the
Well, Ken
right, if he's
Hughes
playing in the
referred to that.
KHL, if he's playing in the
Ken,
KHL and he's playing and it's a year that
yeah,
he can actually show some development and work on his game at that level, playing against men instead of playing in the junior league,
he'll stay where he's at.
I think he will. He'll do
Yeah,
the end of his contract, and then we'll see him next year where there's going to be more slots for him. Guy like
yeah,
Dvorak's going to be off the books. Armia is going to be off the books. There's going to be other
yeah.
spots, and there's going to be more money to spend. And I think they'll be able to surround him better with the players that he needs to play with.
Yeah. So Hughes alluded to that in his interview at the end of the draft, where he said, as of right now, he's going to play out his KHL contract. However, if it finds where he's not playing in the KHL, then maybe there's something we can do about that. Now, the VHL is also an option, which is the AHL of the KHL. Uh, However, I think if you're not playing in the KHL, he's not moving forward because I think he's going to be too good for the VHL as well. Like
Right.
when the AHL players are tearing apart the KHL,
Right.
the VHL is not as good. So,
Yeah. It'll be
we're
interesting. It'll be something to follow over the coming
yeah,
days because
yeah,
this is just something new that's come out in the last little while.
yeah.
So, we've got a couple different connections in Europe that we can reach out to and talk to. But if it ends up happening, the Russian league is pretty notorious for not wanting their players to leave, and again, they treat them different when they when they know that they're coming. Um, but we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. It's
It's
Matt Mitchkov thing was a bit of a surprise for everyone, and it threw
yeah.
everyone for a loop because again, Russia's not very keen on letting, especially their star players, leave Russia. But it happened. So again, we're not saying Demidov's coming over. We're just saying there's a possibility that he could come over
Yeah.
this year. We're running low on time here, so is there anything else you want to bring up there, Matt, or anything else you want to talk about?
The
Any
only
final thoughts, as Blaine would say?
the only thing I want to throw out there is if you're following us on Twitter, on Facebook, if you're watching the show live on YouTube, if you are just listening to us on Apple, Spotify, etc. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow, so the new shows, you're gonna know what it is, and it gives us a bump as well because then we know that you guys are listening, we know that you guys are wanting the more content, etc. We're trying to build up YouTube. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, and just looking forward to the season starting, and hopefully a couple of these deals start happening, and we get a little bit more to talk about instead of speculating.
Yeah, that's all true. And since we're three guys in the military, and I just want to bring this up, I'll be leaving in August to go to down south. I'll be gone, or I'll be leaving for 2 months. Blaine's going to be gone, so the show might go on a little hiatus for a little bit. We're running down less than a minute. I just want to say, everyone, thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell your friends if you're a Habs fan. Tell them all about us. If you like us, great. If you don't like us, ask questions. Give us some emails. Ask us some questions. We'll answer them on the show. And I just want to end it up here. Thanks for Matt bringing it. We'll have another show out soon. And if you're talking about it, so are we.